G'day YouTube. For those who don't know me, my name is Callan Rance. I'm a photographer from originally from Western Australia, living in Victoria. Today I'm going to show you a quick edit of Hopetoun Falls in Victoria using Camera Raw and Photoshop CC. If you have any feedback of the video, please don't be afraid to criticize the hell out of me in the comments below. I greatly appreciate it. I hope you enjoy. Okay, so for this photo here, we've got a picture of Hopetoun Falls located in Victoria. Just going to change the overall profile to Adobe Landscape because on the day it was quite cloudy, so we're just going to change the white balance to cloudy. For the overall exposure of the image, we're going to brighten it up slightly, so you're getting all the detail coming through. You can actually see the image itself. Just going to slightly decrease the highlights. With the shadows, we're just going to slightly increase them to obtain some detail in those darker parts of the image. For the whites, I'm going to bring back some of the whites just throughout the overall image, especially in the waterfall as well. Sort of balance that out. In the blacks, does obviously improve the contrast once you balance it out with the other three sliders as well. Just going to slightly improve that dehaze on there as well, just to slightly increase that overall contrast. Not going to do anything, never really do anything with the effects or the geometry. Generally, with regards to the optics, we do remove. You're supposed to remove the chromatic aberration as well as the lens profile corrections at the start, but I like to do things slightly differently. With regards to the curve adjustment layer, I barely like to touch this. I do like to chuck in a little bit of a curve just to improve that overall contrast once again. But as you can see, very slightly, very slight improvements, very slight curve in that one there. As you do, obviously, you can adjust it. You did adjust it in the other sliders previously. Generally with detail, I don't like to touch that much at all. Generally, I do actually decrease the sharpening overall in these raw sliders. For the color mixer, just going to increase change the color of the red slightly, increase it to that. I'm going to decrease the greens on that one there as well. So we're getting a different color from the hue. With regards to the saturation for the colors, I do generally like to have a desaturated image. You can find with a lot of images they are quite overpowering. For the luminance, just going to slightly increase the blues of the blue slider for luminance, just to bring out, obviously in regards to the photo, the water is the only mainly blue color in there, so I'm just going to brighten that up slightly just through that luminance color slider. For the color mixer, that's pretty much it for that. I do like to dabble in the split toning just a little bit for the hue, for the highlights, just to chuck that with an orange hue and slightly increase the saturation. So for the shadows, I'm just going to do like a nice cyan color and just slightly increase the saturation for that one as well. Nice balance with the highlights and the shadows for those ones. Just going to introduce a slight color tone to that one there, to the highlights and the shadows in that image, in this image. Barely ever touch the geometry, to be honest. Not really required. The calibration of colors, generally, that's another thing that you would do at the start of the image. For the red primary, just going to change it to, just going to reduce the hue for that red primary. Slightly increase the saturation for that one as well. For the greens, there's obviously primarily greens in the image, so it's going to adjust the actual color of the greens themselves. It boosts those ones because that's going to be the main color of the image, and just slightly reduce the saturation of that blue color in the image. It's all about balance. Balance is key. Okay, so now after finishing all those raw basic edits, we're going to do a few local adjustments with one local adjustment with a radial filter, just to sort of direct the viewer's attention to the main parts of the image. So what I'm trying to do with this image is essentially separate it into three main parts: your bottom left corner, your with the radial filters that specifying the second part, that's sort of leading the viewer to the waterfall itself from the creek's trail. So basically, with this radial filter, we're just going to slightly boost the contrast on that one, and then slightly increase the dehazing on that one as well. So obviously with that effect, with dehaze, you do want to be very sparse with it, because it does produce a dramatic effect if you do too much of it. So obviously with that one, you just behind the waterfall has produced the most effect with that dehaze. So just improves that local contrast between the waterfall itself, the water itself, and that backdrop there as well. So that looks like it's about it for that raw edit. Alrighty, so now moving on to the Photoshop creative side of parts for this image. As you can see, the photo has already been done. However, obviously for future YouTube tutorials rather, I will be running you guys through step by step for the layers for any images I do in the future as I actually edit them. But for now, for this video, I'm just going to run through a quick summary and explanation of the layers that I already have here. So for obviously from RAW, you're going to be opening up as a smart object, as you can see here. For this image, as I was saying previously, I don't like to edit the sharpness of the photo in the raw process, only in the final Photoshop process I like to. So as you can see, I've essentially duplicated the original background layer here, just essentially Control J does that, which is quite helpful, and just essentially applied a high pass filter to that. So when you're applying any sort of filters to smart objects, it comes out like this here, and that allows you to actually edit the filter upon the fact of actually applying it itself. So just applied that one there. So with this filter, I've actually reduced the fill of the filter itself with the high pass filter, because it actually, if you can see, it actually appears too sort of sharpened. A bit of a comparison there with the image when it's full at fill, 100%. So generally with any sharpening, I do like to reduce it like around half of that percentage there. Now for the next layer, what I've essentially done is I've applied a hue saturation layer, which is here, and essentially with that I've just reduced it down to nearly -100 for that one. Just going to remove that one there. So essentially I've just reduced it down. What have I taken it down to? Yeah, there you go, -90, to actually desaturate the image. But obviously I don't want a full black and white image for this one, so I've applied a layer mask to this one here, which is just this button here. And then I'll quickly show you what I've done. So as I was saying before, I wanted to actually show the distinction between the three parts of this image: the bottom left, the middle part here with the creek and the waterfall, and the backdrop of the waterfall, and then the top right image, more obviously forest there as well. So with this layer mask, I've essentially, as you can see, kept, so for layer masks, all the darker parts of the layer mask are not revealed, so, and then the wider parts of the image are revealed. So for this hue saturation layer, the desaturation part of it is revealed in the middle part of the image, as you can see in the white part of the layer mask, and then the black parts are not revealed, or are hidden, so to speak, for that specific layer. Now for the next layer, as you can see, I've just essentially done a little bit of burning on that backdrop for the waterfall. Just essentially darkened that one down there, as you can see. For this layer 2 here, what I've done here is I've applied a little bit of light to the top left corner of the image, Normally I would, there's quite a few different methods to applying light into an image, artificial light into an image. This one I will actually go through with you guys in a future tutorial. It's quite easy to do, but I'll make a separate video for that one. So as you can see, just to put showing that layer 2 there, essentially just chucked in a little bit of light into the image. Improves the overall composition of the image, in my opinion. Generally as well, that's the stock color for that light, but you can easily for this one apply even a hue saturation layer to this one to actually clip that one to that light and clearly change the light if need be. Okay, but I was fine with that one there as it is. So I'm just going to release that clip mask, get rid of that layer there overall. Okay, so for this third layer, there's nothing new for this one. Essentially all I've done is I've just stamped the layer, so it's produced a layer that's the actual image itself, the final image, while leaving all the previous layers untouched. So with that, obviously it's much less destructive than merging all the layers and then having it as the final image as well, okay? Thank you for watching this video. I do appreciate it, and I appreciate you. If you have learnt something useful from this video, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Little button down here to my channel, so you can watch future videos, I suppose. That'd be great. I'll be releasing a new video every week, so stay tuned. Ring the bell. Stay tuned so you'll get notified when I do release a new video. I'm going to leave you today with a quote from Viktor E. Frankl. He's a Holocaust survivor from Auschwitz. Forces beyond your control can take everything you possess except one. That's your freedom to choose how you respond to the situation.